Hi, my name is Rebecca Barron. Today I'm going to give you a little history about why I decided to move my over 600 plants from 9 Ikea cabinets into my unfinished master bathroom, which is where I'm sitting now. So it all started when I learned about VPD. I'll link the video below where I watched a YouTuber talk all about it, and she basically said that most people's IKEA cabinets have way too high of humidity in comparison to the heat. So like my cabinets were often at say 70-80% humidity, but then only like 70 degrees temperature, Fahrenheit obviously. And what that does is that causes your plants to not be able to breathe properly. It makes you grow mold. I would get the condensation on the side of the glass. I was getting a lot of pests, and my plants weren't growing very quickly. And when they did get a new leaf, the new leaf would often kind of like turn brown or black and just wilt off. I was just having a lot of problems. And so when I heard about the VPD, I'm like, that's the answer to a lot of my problems. So then I'm like, well, I have to somehow balance out the humidity and the heat in my IKEA cabinets. So I did a bunch of research and I ended up getting a whole bunch of heat mats, some really big ones that were very pretty. I'll see if I can find some photos of what my cabinets look like and insert them in here. But with this, I was kind of able to have about 82 degrees of heat and 70% of humidity. I decided to do it the heat because the higher heat makes lower humidity just naturally. And I'm like, the only way I know how to control the humidity is to say open and close the door or put vents or something, and then you don't have control because what happens, your humidity fluctuates a lot. Say throughout the week you water the plants, and at the beginning for like a day or two especially, they're really high humidity. Then by the end of the week they're really low humidity as they have almost no water left to evaporate. Especially with my self-watering system, with the felt mats that I use, they produce a lot of evaporation, and it was just too high of humidity in there. And so I was having to change the thermostat. The goal was a couple of times a day, but in reality it was probably only a few times a week. So there was not a very good VPD in there, but it was a lot better than it used to be, and my plants started doing better than they were. But I just kept thinking in the back of my mind, first, that IKEA cabinets really can't hold that many plants. 600 plants is a lot. I can hold like 30 to 40 plants. Well, 6 trays. It depends a lot on the size of the plant. 6 trays in an IKEA cabinet, and it's just not very efficient. They're quite expensive by the time you buy the cabinet and all the supplies, especially all the heat mats and the lights and all that. So I was trying to figure out some solution, but I just didn't know what to do. Now, to give you a little more backstory on the backstory, we added on to our house 7 or 8 years ago. I'm not sure, it doesn't really matter. And when we did, our house it started out at 1,900 square feet, and then it went to 2,900 square feet, which is a pretty big addition. We didn't change our HVAC system at all during the time. They said, oh, it should be fine, because they basically just moved our vents out from the old part of the house out to the new part. And we're like, okay, but I mean, we didn't have the money to redo the HVAC system. We still don't. We still haven't redone it. And because of this, our HVAC system works really hard. We've had to put so much maintenance into it. We've had to replace so many things because it's just overworked. They're so expensive to replace. So we have a ranch house, so the main level would be about 10 degrees hotter than the downstairs, all year, but it's especially a big problem in the summer where you're just trying not to sweat upstairs and you go downstairs and you're freezing cold. I tried to do some things like putting magnet vents over the vents, I guess you could say, and it helped. I got about 3 degrees improvement, so it's about 7 degrees different. But we also had a problem around the same time with our HVAC system leaking. We had probably 5 different techs coming out doing all different things. After they had finally come, we thought they fixed the problem, and then it would leak again. They had to keep coming back. Well, after we really thought we had fixed it, it started leaking again, and my husband discovered that the whole house humidity thing that's on the HVAC system, that it was basically dead because it was old and it was just leaking everywhere. It would just leak every once in a while. It didn't turn on very often because we have really high humidity in our house. Even though we're in Utah, it's like 20-30% humidity a lot of the year. But because of so many plants and all the evaporation and all that, it made our whole house really high humidity. Like last winter, we had mold in all of our windows, upstairs and downstairs, that we had to clean up with this really strong bleach spray that you just spray on and it kills the mold, and that's it, supposedly. So, what was my point? So we finally got the HVAC system fixed, we think, / we hope. But during all that, one of the techs that came out, he was an older gentleman with more experience. They usually send these really young guys out, right? And he took one look at my living room. It's like right when you walk in, I had 7 Ikea cabinets in that one room upstairs. He's like, this is what's causing a lot of your problems. They're trying to heat, the cabinets are trying to heat up, to 82 degrees, and you're trying to keep your house cool to like 75, 67 at night. I would have it at most of the time, something like that. And so those heat mats were on like all the time, and then the HVAC system was on all the time, trying to cool it down. You know how expensive it is to have your HVAC system on all the time, and the heat mats are. I was worried about it, but I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. And then we got the bill, and it was $200 more. It's like double what the electricity was for the year before. And I'm like, we can't keep going on like this. But I didn't know what to do. I went probably a few months trying to figure out what to do. I'm like, well, it'd be nice if I could move them down to my basement, because I could put them on like wire shelves. It's a lot more efficient space wise. It'd be nice to have the heat downstairs, and it'd be nice to have it like the humidity all in one room. So like with the cabinets, since they're in another room, they're competing, and the HVAC guy was like, you should have everything all in one room or in a greenhouse or somewhere completely separate than the rest of your house. And I tried this little dehumidifier, and it weren't great, but it ran all day every day, and it only reduced the humidity by about 2%. So I guess to back up, I had about 200 plants in this room that I'm sitting in now. They were like the cheaper kind, like a bunch of pothos and philodendron, like literally 100 CB blues. If that gives you an idea. These plants that weren't worth very much. I didn't care that they were barely growing because there was really high humidity and relatively low heat, so they weren't growing very well, and they had a lot of pests and stuff. I was like, I don't have the time or energy. I'm trying to get my Ikea cabinets going, because that's where my expensive plants were. The dehumidifier didn't work, and I was like, I just don't know what to do. I can't keep paying this kind of money though. I mean, it's like, I sell mostly locally, but a little online, and it's like almost all my profits are just gone to paying for the electricity. So I was at Target one day in the fall, and they had a dehumidifier, like a really big whole house one. I'll put a photo in to show you. On clearance, it's like 75% off. I'm like, that's the cost of the little teeny thing that I bought on Amazon. So I'll just give it a try, because I'm gonna try to do something to get the humidity down. So we got it and set it up, and it works really well, like too well. It will lower the humidity about 10% in 10 minutes. I only needed to lower it about 10% on average. And it has a humidity probe on it, but it doesn't work very well. It, for one thing, it goes in 5% increments. I'm like, this is just not working. And so I got a little, I think it's called I don't know what it's called, but it measures the humidity, and then you can plug in a dehumidifier into one outlet and a humidifier into the other outlet, which I thought I might need to use a humidifier, especially in the winter, but it turns out I haven't had to. It's still, I'm in here in the winter sweating. And so we just plugged the dehumidifier into this outlet, and it has a range of, like, it comes on at 62% humidity, it goes off at 58% humidity. It comes on maybe every 15 minutes, half hour, I don't know, I'm not in here all day listening to it, but it comes on pretty often, but it only comes on for 5, maybe 10 minutes, you know. And so it's proven to be a really good solution to get the humidity down. It gets it, so the reason we did 60% humidity is because in doing research, that's about the highest you can have your humidity in your house without having major mold problems, and about the lowest you want your plants humidity to be in order to have, like, to grow and be happy and have high enough humidity. And then if you have about 60% humidity, then the ideal temperature for VPD is about 72 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I was like, well, that's more or less ambient room temperature. That's easy to keep that temperature with, like, a little heat space heater that we already had, you know. So, you know, I did a test for a week or something, and I'm like, this is very consistent conditions. My VPD is consistently about 1, which is the ideal. And so I started moving all my plants down here, and so I have them on just 3 of these wire shelves I got from Costco. I've seen them at Home Depot and stuff, and I can fit 6 trays on each shelf, and I'll have 3 to 4 trays for each shelf. So we're talking like one shelf can hold as many plants as 3 Ikea cabinets. So I sold off 6 Ikea cabinets. I kept 3 of them. They're in my living room. They're in there because, you know, I sell plants and people come at the last minute, or they want to come see what I have for sale. So I'll put them in there often, you know, sometimes they'll be in there for only a few days, maybe a month at the most. And so, and then I also have some plants that I'm decided, you know what, I really like these plants. I know they're common, but I really like them, but I can't really make money. It's not worth my time to grow these plants and sell them. So I just wanted to keep some just for me. And so I want like 1 cabinet or 2 for that. So right now I have 1 cabinet for selling, 1 for myself, and an empty one, but I don't want to sell it until I know for sure I don't want it, because, you know, I'm selling them at a loss, not a huge loss, but enough that, and it's all set up with the holes and all that. I don't want to have to redo it, and, you know, maybe I can find somewhere else in my house to put it. I have teenagers, you know, they're not gonna live here forever, so maybe I can sneak one in a bedroom or somewhere someday. So I have both Ikea cabinets now and the plant room, but the plant room is where most of my plants are. It's hard to say for sure if I'm saving money, because right about the same time that I moved everything down here, we got a ductless mini split, and sorry, that's my dehumidifier, and an electric car, and the weather changed from summer to winter literally in like a week or 2, so it's still really high electrical costs, but I'm quite certain that it would be even higher if I hadn't done this. My plants are so much happier. They really like the consistent humidity that is in here and temperature, and they're just so much easier to like get to. They have more room to spread out. The Ikea cabinets, I was having issues with the plants outgrowing the space and everything. So overall, it's been very successful. I think that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and like and all that. And I'll talk to you soon about what happened next after literally a week after I got everything in here, or it was maybe just a couple days. A really big incident occurred. I'll talk about that next time. Thanks, bye.